Elisa Lam was a young woman. She was 21 years old. She was from British Columbia, Canada. Elisa was on a solo trip. She was traveling across the American West Coast. This trip was meant to be a break. It was a time for self-discovery. She had bipolar disorder. This is a serious mental illness. It affects mood. It causes shifts between very high energy mania and very low energy depression. Elisa was taking medication for it. She wrote about her struggles. She used a Tumblr blog. Her blog was called Nouvelle Nouveau. She shared her thoughts there. She wrote about her feelings. Her posts showed her anxieties. They also showed her hopes. She wrote about feeling lost sometimes. She wrote about wanting to find her place. She also wrote about feeling depressed. She talked about how hard it was to manage her illness. Her journey brought her to Los Angeles. She checked into the Cecil Hotel. This hotel has a dark history. It is known for many deaths. It is known for suicides. Some serial killers stayed there. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was one. Jack Unterweger was another. The hotel had a grim reputation. It was a place for budget travelers. It also housed long-term residents. Many of these residents were struggling. The hotel had a strange energy. It felt uneasy. Elisa arrived at the Cecil Hotel on January 26, 2013. She was supposed to check out on February 1st. She was initially assigned to a shared room. It was on the 5th floor. She had roommates, but after a few days, she was moved. She got her own room. It was a single room. The reasons for this move are not fully clear. Some reports say her roommates found her behavior unusual. They were uncomfortable. This suggests her mental state was already changing. She might have been having an episode. Her behavior might have been erratic. She kept in touch with her family. She called them every day. Her parents lived in Vancouver. They got worried when the call stopped. February 1st was the last day they heard from her. That was her planned checkout day. They reported her missing. The police started to look for her. They searched the hotel. They looked in her room. They found her belongings. Her clothes were there. Her wallet was there. Her laptop was there. This meant she hadn't packed up to leave. She hadn't just walked away. Something else had happened. The police checked the hotel security footage. One video was very important. It was from an elevator camera. This video was taken on February 1st. It was recorded just before she disappeared. It shows Elisa Lam alone in the elevator. Her behavior is very strange. It is confusing to watch. First, she enters the elevator. She presses many buttons. She seems to be trying to make the doors close, but the doors do not close. So she waits. She peeks her head out of the elevator. She looks left. She looks right. She looks out into the hallway. She seems to be looking for someone, or she is looking for something. Then she steps out of the elevator. She stands by the door. She looks around again. She seems to be hiding. She moves to the side of the elevator. It is like she is trying to avoid someone or something. She makes strange hand gestures. Her arms move. Her hands move. It looks like she is talking to someone, but no one else is there. There is no one else in the frame. She goes back into the elevator. The doors still do not close. She seems frustrated. She presses buttons again. She walks out of the elevator again. She steps back into the hallway. She stands there. She seems agitated. She continues to make gestures. She waves her hands. She seems to be speaking. Again, to no one. Finally, she walks away. She walks out of the camera's view. The elevator doors then close. They open again. They close again. It seems to function normally after she leaves. This video was released to the public. It sparked huge interest. It also sparked many theories. People wondered what she was doing. What was she reacting to? Was she in danger? Was she talking to herself? Was she talking to someone unseen? Was she suffering a psychotic episode? Her mental health history is key here. People with bipolar disorder can have episodes. These episodes can involve psychosis. Psychosis means losing touch with reality. People can have hallucinations. They can hear or see things that are not there. They can have delusions. They can believe things that are not true. Her behavior in the elevator could be a sign of this. She might have been experiencing a manic or psychotic episode. She might have been confused. She might have been scared. She might have been reacting to something only she could perceive. Weeks went by. There was no sign of Elisa. Her family was desperate. The police searched more. They searched the whole hotel again. They looked on the roof. They looked in the rooms. They looked everywhere they could think of. They found nothing. Then, hotel guests started to complain. They complained about the water. They said it was low pressure. They said it tasted strange. It had a weird color. A hotel maintenance worker, Santiago Lopez, went to investigate. He went to the roof. This was on February 19th. It was 19 days after Elisa disappeared. There are 4 large water tanks on the roof. These tanks supply water to the hotel. They are used for drinking. They are used for bathing. Lopez had to check the tanks. He found the access hatch on one tank open. He looked inside. That is where he found Elisa Lam. She was naked. She was floating face up in the water. The discovery was shocking. It was horrifying. It raised so many questions. How did she get into the water tank? The roof was usually locked. It had alarms. The tanks were very tall. They were hard to get into. Their lids were heavy. They were difficult to open. It was even harder to close them from the inside. The police investigated her death. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office performed an autopsy. They found no signs of foul play. There were no physical injuries. There was no evidence of assault. There was no evidence of struggle. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning. Bipolar disorder was listed as a significant factor. Toxicology reports showed some things. They showed she had taken her prescribed medication. She had also taken other non-prescribed medications. These included cold medicine. But the levels of her bipolar medication were lower than expected. This could mean she was not taking them regularly, or she was not taking the right dose. This could have made her more vulnerable. It could have triggered an episode. The official conclusion left many people unsatisfied. It still didn't explain everything. How did she get on the roof? If the doors were locked, how did she get past them? If there were alarms, why didn't they go off, or were they broken? The fire escape was another way up, but it still required effort. And then getting into the tank. How did she do that alone? It seemed like an impossible feat for someone in a normal state. It seemed even more impossible for someone having an episode. So the central question remains, what was Elisa Lam searching for at the Cecil Hotel in her final days? Many possibilities emerge. Her blog posts offer some clues. She often wrote about self-discovery. She wrote about her solo travel. This trip was an attempt to find herself. She was a young person. Many young people go on such journeys. They want to understand who they are. They want to find their purpose. Maybe she was searching for a new direction. Maybe she wanted a fresh start. Maybe she wanted to escape the pressures of her life. She was searching for a sense of belonging. She was searching for meaning. Her mental illness was a constant presence in her life. She wrote about the heavy burden of depression. She wrote about the struggles of bipolar disorder. Maybe she was searching for relief. Maybe she was looking for an escape from her own mind. The confusing behaviors in the elevator. They suggest a mind under duress. She might have been looking for safety. She might have been looking for peace. She might have been trying to escape from imagined threats. Or she might have been trying to find a place where she felt safe from herself. The Cecil Hotel itself played a role. It had a strange draw. Its dark history. Its transient residents. It felt like a place outside of normal life. Perhaps she was drawn to this. Perhaps she was looking for a place that mirrored her own internal chaos, or a place where she could finally find solitude. A place where she could be alone with her thoughts. The roof, then, might have offered this. A quiet place, away from the bustle of the hotel, away from the people, away from the perceived dangers. She might have been searching for adventure. Young people sometimes take risks. They want to explore. They want to push boundaries. Maybe she found a way onto the roof. Maybe she saw it as an exploration, a secret place, a thrilling discovery. This is possible, especially if her judgment was impaired. If she was in a manic state. Manic episodes can lead to impulsive decisions. They can lead to reckless behavior. She might not have fully understood the danger. She might have been seeking an experience, an unusual one, an unforgettable one. The water tanks themselves are also important. Why there? Some theories suggest she might have been seeking baptism, a cleansing, a rebirth. This is a common theme in some spiritual traditions. A symbolic washing away of troubles, of past mistakes, of the burden of her illness. If she was having a psychotic episode, her thoughts could have taken on spiritual or symbolic meaning. She might have seen the water as a source of purity, a place of peace, a place to escape. Or she might have just been confused. She might have been disoriented. Her search might have been purely for shelter, for a place to hide. The elevator video shows her pressing buttons. It shows her looking around. It shows her behaving like she was trying to get away from something or someone. She might have gone to the roof thinking it was a safe place, a place to escape. Once on the roof, perhaps she was drawn to the tanks. Maybe she climbed in. She thought it was a hiding spot, a place where no one could find her, a place to be safe. The idea of a liminal space fits the Cecil Hotel. It's a place between worlds. It's a place of transition. Many people there are in transition. Elisa was in transit. She was traveling. She was searching for herself. She was grappling with her mental health. The hotel and perhaps the roof became her liminal space, a space where her search for meaning or escape or safety converged with her deteriorating mental state. Her actions in the elevator could be interpreted as a search for help. She presses the buttons repeatedly. She looks out. She seems to be trying to get the elevator to work, to take her away, to take her somewhere safe. She might have been trying to escape a situation, a real one, or one that existed only in her mind. Her gestures might have been a plea for help, a plea for understanding. Her blog posts, when read in hindsight, offer a heartbreaking context. She wrote about her desire to be a person with a future, She wrote about the struggle to keep afloat. She wrote about the feeling of being lost. These words show her internal battles. Her search was likely a deep, personal one. A search for stability, a search for happiness. A search for a way to manage her illness. Ultimately, the exact thing Elisa Lam was searching for remains unknown. We can only piece together clues. We can look at her history, we can look at her illness, we can look at the place where she was, we can look at her final actions. It seems she was searching for something profound. Well, maybe it was an end to her pain, maybe it was an escape from her delusions, maybe it was a moment of clarity, maybe it was just a safe place to rest her troubled mind. Her journey ended in tragedy. She was a young woman, she was struggling, she was far from home. Her death became a global mystery. It highlighted the complexities of mental illness. It showed how vulnerable people can be, especially when traveling alone, especially when their minds are not stable. Her story is a sad reminder. It reminds us how powerful mental illness can be. It reminds us how it can distort reality, how it can lead people to desperate acts. Her search was likely a desperate one, a search for something she could not find. Not at the Cecil Hotel, not in this world. It was a search that ended in the most unimaginable way. In a cold water tank on a hotel roof, far above the city streets, far from her family, far from her home.